Well, hello everyone, my name is Tom Colohue and welcome to our nice laid-back, chill WWE Smackdown streams. We are about to jump into WWE Smackdown, we're going to watch the whole show and you're going to get a few live reactions along the way to a match that ultimately I've tried to clear the spoilers, tried to stay away as it were, but well, it doesn't seem like the most exciting show. There's going to be some hasty edits and I'll be sharing some news along the way on some of those as they go because I'm interested to see what happens and I know what the original plan was. We are currently live on both Twitch and YouTube. We already have a new follower on Twitch, so thank you and welcome to Cal7197. We are not promoting the show on Twitter, although you guys can share if you would like to, mostly because it's not a news show, it's just going to be for you guys. I'm not focusing on growth right now, although I wouldn't turn down a like on that YouTube video. I'm just going to be nice and relaxed. So welcome everyone currently in the chat. Moxie says, Tom freaking Colohue, indeed, that is the case. Welcome mate. Sean says, hi Tom. Welcome Sean. Bailey says, hello Tom, you got an extra 2 hours of watch time because I let the YouTube run in the background since spoiler warning. Thank you kindly, Bailey. I really do appreciate that. We are genuinely this close. If you guys have seen the Twitter, we are incredibly close to hitting the watch time target to the point now where the focus is just on getting those numbers. So when it comes to the growth on the YouTube, once we hit 1,000, we're there. Excuse me one moment. Oh, I do apologise. I sneeze. Justin on the YouTube side says, what's up? Sorry I haven't been in the chat as much recently. Oh, no worries, Justin. I would not worry about that at all. I'm always glad to see, regardless of when that is, we have quite a few people who drop in and out. I'm never annoyed. Never annoyed. You don't need to apologise at all. Welcome. Jay Quick says, me and my fiance are also moving in together in a few weeks. Fantastic, Jay Quick. I'm very happy to hear that. Very happy. Megan says, hello again. Hello, Stat Queen. How are you? It's been about 2 weeks. In fact, yes, it will have been exactly 2 weeks since I last watched wrestling. Haven't watched Raw at all. And just quite excited to watch SmackDown with good company and just have a really chill show that may end up being as crazy as it normally is. We are opening of Adam Pearce, who is bright red in the face, ready for a contract signing between Naomi, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. This is one of the ones that's going to be edited heavily. Sean says, sorry I missed spoiler warning, I had to be with family. No need to be sorry, Sean. I'm always grateful when you're there. I'm not all annoyed when you're not. I hope you had fun with your family event. I hope it wasn't a bad thing. I hope it was all positive. So all credit to you. Sonya Deville has been selling her arm injury. Before she's even hit the ring, Charlotte Flair's music has gone. There is a rumour from PW Insider that we are going to see a stipulation added to this match. There is certainly some sense made of it based on what I'm seeing. KJ says, let's not forget this show was taped last week. Indeed. This show has already been seen, spoiled and shared. I've tried to avoid it, but I'm mostly focused on spoilers and the like. Sean says, did everyone see what Tegan Knox said on Danger Zone podcast about her release? We did speak about that earlier, Sean, but to reiterate, I don't agree with a lot of what she said. I don't. There are certain changes that I feel she could have made and certain changes that the WWE should have made about her, but I wouldn't necessarily say we're going back to the Divas era. Jay Quick says, now I can torture her by watching Raw with me. You know it. Wolf Gamer Welcome says, US of J. I'm hoping that's a reference to Jey Uso, but who can tell? Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair are a team that works for me. Logically, character-wise, the combination is perfect. The combination is absolutely perfect. Also, can I just say, Charlotte Flair realising there's no referee, so she calm down. So she invites someone from security up to help her with the ring ropes. That was really quite seductive. Like, help me out. I'm not wrong there, am I? Because the come hither The fact that literally she just kept checking, it was lovely. It was lovely. Thank you, Wolfgamer. A reference to Jay White. Haven't watched Rampage, but US and J, I can certainly take it. Justin Stevens says, unfortunately, 2K22 has no online GM mode according to reports. They did say that it would. I was very excited to be playing with Ed on this one, but it looks like Ed and I might not be playing with each other, as we would both very much enjoy. King of Pro says, hi, welcome King of Pro, great to see you. Sean says, Kairi Sane is back in Stardom. She is. Her contract with WWE did expire in the last couple of weeks. And ultimately, as soon as we saw the end of NXT Asia, it was always coming. KJ says, I stayed away from spoilers other than the obvious one and what's about to happen. And KJ, that's exactly where I am as well. I'm a little upset with the fact that Naomi got seconds there. Literal seconds. And I'm really not sure how honest the response is to Ronda Rousey. I've sat in a WWE taping of a Raw and SmackDown back-to-back. That's a 5-hour show. By the end of it, you can't be arsed. You just can't. Jay Quick says, are we surprised we are getting this match in Saudi? Not entirely. Here's the thing. I did mention in the stream about the Saudi Arabia show, about the women's booking for Saudi Arabia, I mentioned the Elimination Chamber match. That was a day before it was announced. I also mentioned at that time that I was expecting the SmackDown Women's Champion to feature. The intention was that we were going to see Naomi versus Charlotte in a rematch. However, they also wanted to get Sonya Deville on the card because of, and I'm going to be blunt here, because she's gay. They wanted to get her on the card because she's gay. They have succeeded in finding a way to do that. So honestly, where we are, I'm okay. The editing is very clear here. They have really sped it up. No one is taking a breath. It is just flying. Okay, this is just bickering. That's a fake cheer. This is not going well. Megan says, why does Charlotte always look like she's about to compete in figure skating? The blue is a nice shade, but that's it. The fact that it's sparkly as well, there's a figure skater there. There really is. You can see her doing some lifts. Darnell says, okay, what's up, Tom? What's up, Darnell? Great to see you, mate. Happy to see so many people returning, as usual, for a watch party. It's been a little while. I've missed these shows. Justin says, so Ronda is a face. Ronda is a face. It's dumb, but Ronda is a face. KJ says, funny thing is, these four were just out there after the main event, then they came right back out. They may have done. It may have been filmed out of schedule and then edited differently. That's what I expect has happened. Charlotte wouldn't have had time to go back, dab herself off, shower, as these two women definitely have, and get changed. She wouldn't have had time to do that. I suspect it was filmed out of order and then reordered. Okay, so far it's just a lot of shut up, shut up, you shut up, you shut up. This is not good. Sean says, did you see that Ember Moon is back wrestling as Athena? I did, and I'm very excited. Ember Moon is someone who never really got a good chance on the main roster. I'm excited to see what she can do. Wolfgamer says, WWE, we want a women's chamber match. Saudi, no, please, no, and so on, until eventually, yes. It's exactly what I expected and exactly what I reported. I should have mentioned that in my tweet about Colohue reports that came true this week. In fact, no, I did. I need to start taking note of this stuff because I'm on a roll. Ronda Rousey is signed on to wrestle with one hand tied behind her back. That was actually a pretty good line from Ronda. Slight boo from the crowd when they say the match is tomorrow, because it wasn't. Oh, well, the edit saved it. Note that there is a cut before every impact. They do that when the impact looks bad. So they flew through that, they cut it down to 10 minutes. It wasn't the greatest. But it was by the numbers, and ultimately it got the job done. It wasn't as bad as it looked when we first saw anything for it. Sean says, do we think Alexa was added to the chamber because Asuka could have refused to go to Saudi? No, I think the WWE being extra careful with Asuka. I think that's all. I don't think this is actually with an intent to make a storyline for Alexa. I think she'll be out pretty quickly. KJ says, surprise, they never make a mistake with that. Yeah. Never make any mistake. Simon, welcome, mate. Says, I'm a massive Impact fan. Subscribe to Impact Ultimate Insider Sammy Callahan's podcast. New episode has Isaiah Swerve Scott on it from NXT. Well, formerly NXT indeed. KJ says Rousey had some decent lines. She's good. She's genuinely good in that environment. She is an incredibly good promo and a great smack talker. She needs to stop being scripted and she needs to have some confidence. Simon says, not watching SmackDown till Sasha's back. Just watching Tom's reaction because he's the best, most truthful journalist. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate that. Megan says, all of the credit needs to go to the editing team on this one. Yep. There was a lot cut out of that. A lot of lines that they cleaned up. A hell of a lot of pauses that they cut short. And yeah, they cut out quite a lot from the pauses of reactions that we were expecting. Seamus is backstage talking to Ridge Holland about beating up Ricochet. This feud is apparently still going. This hasn't changed at all. I know the point is to establish Ridge Holland and to keep Ricochet wrestling. Sheamus is doing good work right now, putting people over, as it were. But this is getting very similar to Naomi versus Sonya Deville. It just keeps going. And, you know, it's not good enough to just keep going. It needs to evolve at least a little bit. It always confuses me when Sheamus calls himself Shamey. If you are currently watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit that like button. It makes a very big difference to the algorithm, helps us find new viewers and new subscribers. You may notice that we've gained a few more in the last couple of hours. That's because of the tweet I put out earlier today saying just how close we were. We are just over 50 left to that 1,000, 53 in total, which is very, very close indeed. KJ says the camera spot was better than the spoiled shot. Is it possible they also sped it up? It is. My suspicion is that they cut out most of the actual moment. So once the hand got on, they cut. Once Charlotte started going down, they cut back. Sheamus and Ridge Holland are heading down to the ring. We will see Sheamus versus Ricochet this week. Hopefully they're going to protect Sheamus here. I feel this should be a Sheamus win. Ridge Holland has been the loser of the tag team. Or at least the designated loser, I should say. And if they're going to do that, they might as well have the winner win. Let's not have both members of the team lose. That would just be awkward. We have our first commercial break. After only 13 minutes. Unusual. Sean says Randy Orton is an 88 in 2K22. Think that's good for him? I do. I absolutely do. 90 is exceptional. 90 is the top guy in the company sort of region. Which is why it's Roman, it's Brock, it's Becky. 88 is still fantastic. It's that tier just below top level main eventer. Randy Orton could easily become top level main eventer, and next year he could be 92, 93. 88 is a very good number. Simon says, I only watch Raw, NXT, Impact, AEW now. SmackDown has not been great. Not been great. Moxie says, what's Roman in 2K22? I believe he's 93. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Sean says, congrats to Undertaker. Undertaker, of course, has been announced as the first ballot entry into the Hall of Fame. Which is damn good. Damn good. Thank you guys correcting me. Roman is 95. Ooh. And of course, congratulations to Johnny and Candice Wrestling on the birth of their child, Quill Wrestling. The wrestlings are growing. What can we say? The wrestlings are growing. Megan says there's only 14 people with a rating 90 and above. Let me rephrase that. quite an exclusive club. I believe some of them are not actually wrestling at the moment. For example, Triple H, who is 91. I want to say 91. There's a reason that like 88 puts you on a par with Randy Savage, the Ultimate Warrior. It's good. Wolf Gamer says, still think it's weird that Woods is only 86. You're not alone, and I imagine Megan would very much agree. Xavier Woods has every right to be annoyed by that. I'd say he's Randy Orton level personally, but we are where we are. I think Liv Morgan has every right to be annoyed as well with the level that they've given her. Deserves a little bit more if you ask me. Just a little bit more. You know? A bit of respect. Just a bit of respect goes a long way. And I don't feel they really gave her that. Same with Naomi. 79 is low. It is low. 82 is lovely. Bailey's saying who's got the lowest score? I'm not sure. That's a good question. The lowest score. There's always someone who just has a really low score. Liv Morgan had the lowest score for a long time, back during her Riot Squad days, which was just awkward. She has increased, but still only increased to a certain level. The difference between her and Becky Lynch is not 13 points. That's all I'll say. At least not with how she's been booked recently. Outside of that, I don't know who's got the actual lowest score, but it'll be interesting to find out. We are currently in commercial break. SmackDown will be returning with Sheamus versus Ricochet. Sheamus versus Ricochet. I might say I do feel I've seen a lot in the past few weeks. But this has just been a tag team combination, hasn't it? WWE are hyping up Roman Reigns and Goldberg in a face-to-face. I'd imagine that is going to be our main event. Or, you know, main event. Ridge Holland and Sheamus standing in the ring waiting for the arrival of Ricochet. It still annoys me they've changed the music but brought back the one and only. Ricochet's music was a banger. Like an absolute banger. Do 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 do. In my head it's still there. Still there. It's got new gear, I believe. Just lots of red. Just lots of red. Megan thinks Liv is 77, I believe 79. Megan is usually right in these situations. Megan says, if Edge is 91, is at least 15 then, and I need to find an updated list. I'm always basically giving you assignments, aren't I, Megan? I do apologise. Ricochet has a picture-in-picture promo in which he says, what the hell? John says, is the report by Fightful true that Saturday night's main event is coming back? I'm not entirely sure. Haven't heard anything on that personally, and if I don't hear things, I'm usually pretty open about it. It would be exciting. There's lots of room for pay-per-views, as it were, and premium live events, but we'll see how it goes. The WWE are on a mission at the moment to SEO quite a few different things. If they can SEO the phrase main event, they're on a good start. Moxie confirms that Liv is 77. Montel, welcome, mate. Says, hey Tom, who is main eventing tomorrow? At the moment, it is written in that the main event will be the men's elimination chamber match. So that would be the WWE Championship match. That is what you can expect to main event tomorrow, unless there's a change of plan and it ends up being Roman Goldberg. I expect it to be the men's elimination chamber. Ricochet is doing a lot of drop kicks so far, which is a good start. To be fair, he may be tired. Okay, that suicide dive could have gone really badly, but he actually recovered extremely well. Sean says, does the women's chamber open the show? I think that's likely yes. It would make sense to bookend on elimination chamber matches. It's actually a very controlled landing by Ricochet. Very controlled landing. Moxie's also asking who opens the show. I do believe we'll be bookended with elimination chamber matches. I do feel that Sheamus is one of those who deserves another shot at the top. I wouldn't mind a Sheamus Roman program after WrestleMania. They have history and they've done very well feuding in the past. Sheamus has been sort of... the only time he was near main event is when he was wrestling against Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley in the build to last year's WrestleMania. Since then, he's just been building other people, building Ridge Holland, building Ricochet, and just working with people lower down the card. He's stuck there right now. He's kind of stuck. I feel they could do a lot more with the guy. Also, as you know watching the guy, he's just an extremely good wrestler. Moxie, I do not believe that Roman versus Goldberg will be 3 minutes. I don't believe it. It won't be long because Goldberg gets knackered out there, but I believe it'll be at least 8. In around 8 minutes. Simon says it's Impact No Surrender tomorrow night. Nice to hear, mate. Nice to hear. Jay White versus Eric Young. Bullet Club versus Violent by Design. Impact have been just putting on solid wrestling. It's just a shame that they don't have the reach of one of the bigger companies. Or the star power. If they can pick up... nicely recovered by Sheamus. I don't think he was supposed to be recovering. I think he was supposed to be catching and doing the fall away. Didn't quite work out, but he recovered well. Looking like he's got a bit of a shiner now. Bit of a shiner. Sean says, what do we all think of the Wrestling Observer newsletter Worst Feud of the Year list? I think it clearly says exactly what the people of the Wrestling Observer newsletter believe. There is some clear biases, but it's the opinion of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It's the opinion of the people who pay to watch it. And here's the thing. If, for example, the people here were to do a Worst Feud of the Year list, it probably would also be mostly WWE, because we watch WWE, or at least the majority of us do, whereas we don't all watch Impact, for example. I don't think the Fiend versus Randy Orton feud was good. I don't. It was infuriating. It was especially worse when you consider that the Fiend disappeared for most of it. Just disappeared. Just disappeared. It ended horribly, and then just wasn't followed up. It wasn't a great feud. It wasn't. Also, Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. Also not good. Also not good. Now, are there other feuds which were bad? Yeah, there absolutely are. Can I think of any right now that were worse? No. No, I cannot. So while there's a lot I disagree with in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, I'm happy to let this one slide. KJ says Wrestling Observer is biased, but I don't think anyone in WWE cares about any of these awards, but WWE had some weird feuds. Both true comments. Here's the thing. Over the years, a lot of wrestlers have been very open about the fact that they don't care about Dave Meltzer. Over the years, a lot of wrestlers have been very open about the fact that they don't value the opinion of Dave Meltzer. Until they win an award from Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer by and large. Until they win that. As soon as they win the award, Dave Meltzer is their best friend. The Wrestling Observer is the best thing ever, and that's all they care about. I was going to say we're missing a trick not having an awards thing, but here's the thing. I've tried, over the years, to get something like APW Torch awards. Because you can put that on Wikipedia, where the wrestlers' names are, on wrestler files. You can really use it to hype up and publicise. It's a great marketing thing, these awards. It's great marketing. They chose not to. When I was with Sportskeeda, I said the same thing. Let's get some awards going. They're doing it right now, but I've been gone for so long I don't think it's related. So, they're doing it now independently. And guess what? It's working out pretty well for them. It's working out pretty well. Maybe once we're a little bigger, a few awards would go a long way. Sheamus coming off the top of a clothesline. Moxley says, best feud of 2022 is Roman versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge. Disagree. Absolutely disagree. Bianca Sasha was pretty good. I gotta give it that. Seth versus Edge was a lot of fun by the end of it. I don't think Edge versus Roman, or any combination thereof, was even close to fun. Didn't enjoy Edge's work of Roman at all. They are sweetening the hell out of this audio right now. People are not making that cheer for Sheamus. Simon says the Good Brothers versus God for Impact the Tag Team titles. Yeah, you have mentioned that, Simon. 1010, welcome to the show. Says, I remember them pre-recording this episode last week in New Orleans. They did pre-record it. Spoilers are already out there. I've tried to avoid them. But it's nice seeing what they've presented, seeing some of the edits and seeing what they're giving us. KJ says also the awards is for the year, but there's guys who won awards and have barely been there for half the year. Yeah, that's very much the Wrestling Observer newsletter style. And to be fair, that's not something they can control. A lot of people have the "what have you done for me lately" thing. So if they'd seen you in the last month, they're probably going to give you an award. Sean, that's a Sheamus regular. He always shouts that every match. Ed Fries, welcome to the show, mate. Says, thoughts on Impact letting Josh Alexander's contract expire? Dumb. Dumb. You've got someone who's genuinely becoming a star right in front of our eyes. Who's unique, who's creative, who's inventive, who just... Here's the people that you should be focusing on. That you should be building your company around. And you've just let him go? Now, I don't know the individual details. But it seems like a bad choice. KJ says, I think the best feud of the year was Edge versus Rollins, in my opinion. Of course. There we go. I think it was a very good feud. Didn't see the finish of it, but I enjoyed it. Simon says, Josh's work visa expired. He's in Canada. Very hard to get a work visa to renew in Canada. Well, if you had a job with Impact, probably a higher chance. Sean says, is it true that Roxy signed with WWE? I don't know, mate. Being blunt on that one? No idea. Moxie says, Tom, remember how good Roman versus Bobby versus Big E match was? I have no recollection of that match. No recollection whatsoever. I remember Bobby versus Big E. I remember Roman versus Big E. I don't remember Roman versus Bobby versus Big E. I don't remember that ever happening. This match has gone on way too long. Way too long. I can't see that the crowd are into it. The wrestling content has been good. But 2 commercial breaks is just a bit too much. It happened before Extreme Rules. Roman and Bobby were still on different brands at that point. I have no recollection of that at all. Genuinely, Moxie, it's not jogging my memory in any way. Not a clue. Apparently that's forgettable. Sean says, I'm glad Ricochet is getting TV time. He deserves it. Hope he gets a push. I think this kind of is a push. He's getting regular TV time. He's wrestling against a recognisable name with a bit of drawing potential in Sheamus. I think really this is about as strong a push as he can expect right now. KJ says there's been piped in cheers, but there's also been a lot of actual cheers for this match. Ricochet does get that response. I still think the match has gone too long. That doesn't mean that they're doing a bad job. I just think they should be loading their show a little bit more. Especially when it's one of those matches where you kind of expect Rich Holland to get involved, as he's doing right now, and for it to be a bullshit ending. Sheamus blamed Rich Holland for that. I really don't think there's any value in having them break up already. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that WrestleMania match. Moxley, there you go. That's jogging my memory. The Bloodline came to Raw, faced the New Day, and Bobby attacked Roman and Big E the Raw before Extreme Rules. I remember because Bobby had just returned. Yeah, I remember now. Thank you, Moxie, for sticking with me there. Yep, they are teasing a breakup of Sheamus and Rich Holland. I genuinely see no value in this. It's too early. Don't get me wrong, the match should be okay. Ridge Holland will benefit with a win, but you haven't really done anything on SmackDown. He's not established. This does not help him. Yeah, Megan there clarifying the date. It was September 20th, 2021. Highlights are on YouTube. Thank you, Megan. I may check those out. It sounds like it will have been a great match. I just have no recollection of it. We're getting a recap of Sami Zayn. Hopefully we don't get mention of Johnny Knoxville and they just focus on the championship. Okay, just says Drew and Cody, former tag champs. Really? Versus Corbin and Moss at Mania. It will very much be Drew versus Corbin one-on-one. Essentially the whole recap is just Sami talking. Okay, that was dumb. See, I didn't watch last week because I've not been available. Had a Valentine's Day weekend. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, there is a point at which Sami Zayn's antics are just a little bit childish. It was probably the point at which he started working with Jackass. Sean says, thought I saw something that revealed Tegan and John Morrison for 2K22. I haven't seen their names confirmed, but still people in there. Megan says they might be breaking up Seamus and Ridge for Mania because they can't break up RK Bro yet, and they need a tag team / friends turned rivals match. Possibly. I think this was always the intention, to put over Ridge Holland by giving him a win over Sheamus, but it doesn't really establish the guy. Like, where are you going after that? KJ says, see that boo for Sami is obviously piped. People love Sami Zayn. The fact that he's been featured every week, same as Nakamura, has been a big positive. Actually makes this match feel like a big deal. I would hope it main events. Even though they spoiled it, I still hope it main events. Moxley says it was a great match. Big E was down most of the time and it was Roman versus Bobby most of the time. Which is good. They're protecting Big E because they knew he'd be wrestling against both of them in the days to come. Sean says, not a fan of Sammy's character. Hate his conspiracy's character. If there was a conspiracy, would he have a job? Yes. Yes. Yes, he would. I very much like the Sami Zayn character. I also like the Sami Zayn Forever t-shirt. Like, that's fun. The Intercontinental Championship match is being advertised as tonight rather than up next. It would certainly be a good draw segment. Hopefully, Roman and Goldberg's face-to-face is a draw segment. We have already seen Charlotte after all. Megan is asking, where's Sammy's documentary? Which needs to be asked every single time. Every single time. Where's my damn documentary? Where is it? What are you doing? WWE, what are you doing? It's the basics that you're failing us on. The basics of supplying the documentary. The rumours were there'd be a real one, but it looks like they haven't actually filmed anything. It looks like it never actually was going to exist. Which is a shame, but we are where we are. We are back on commercial break. Taking a moment before we get back in. Wiggly is here. Welcome, Wiggly. How you doing, man? KJ says, yeah, but Sheamus versus Ridge shouldn't be a Mania and it isn't a big deal. It's not. It's not. Ridge Holland is not established enough yet. It would be good for him. It would do him a favour. But it's pre-show stuff. To be fair, there does need to be pre-show matches. So, can't really argue. Megan says the t-shirt is ripping off the Jackass Forever logo. Yep, it absolutely is. And it's still pretty cool. KJ says a conspiracy can start after he gets the job. Well, here's an Intercontinental Championship match, you know? So, whatever conspiracy there is, he's clearly got what he wanted out of his contract negotiations. Which, good work. Sometimes it's nice. It's really nice sometimes to see someone who's good at bending over Vince McMahon. Just making Vince bend over. And there are people there. You look at your John Cena's. He made Vince bend over so much. When Cena was there, Vince spent so much time just constantly bent over. CM Punk bent Vince McMahon over on live TV. On live TV, Vince McMahon bent over by CM Punk. And it's a beautiful moment for everyone involved. We all enjoy seeing Vince McMahon bent over. And I think I can speak for all of us when I say we want to see Vince McMahon bent over more. Just, you know, it's just upsetting to me that we've seen so little of Vince McMahon bending over recently. Don't you want to see Vince McMahon bend over for someone? I tell ya. Megan says Ridge versus Sheamus is either a pre-show or a bathroom break match, which is sad because I like Sheamus. I'm a big fan of Sheamus as well. I think he'll be happy to be doing this favour. Just doing this favour for Ridge Holland. Sheamus did choose to work with Ridge, but we'll see how it actually plays out. Sean says, did Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin need to be on the pre-show from Mania 33? Or could have replaced it if it was on the main card? That was dropped from the main card to the pre-show because they wanted to move the SmackDown Women's Championship match from the pre-show to the main card. They just did a swap. Thank you, Brandon, firstly for joining us. And secondly, for renewing your subscription. That is a 7th month total. Hello, Brandon. How are you? Great to see you. And thank you very much for that renewed subscription. We are very close to having the option of YouTube subscription soon. I know that you've always popped in there a Star Wars Lounge. You were one of my earliest subscribers on YouTube way back when. I do remember my very first post show. I think you were the only person there. So I do remember that fondly. So, as it were, thank you very kindly. We're getting a pre-recorded rundown of the announcement of The Undertaker appearing in the Hall of Fame. Naturally, you're not getting a real response to this because it's a week after they recorded the show. But this vignette we're about to watch was originally planned for the Royal Rumble. And instead, we ended with the Sasha Banks vignette. There we go, Vince McMahon talking about The Undertaker. Batista. Ooh. Shane McMahon. Kurt Angle looked genuinely terrified there. This is the right music for Taker. He loves this music. Over the years, I started to miss the purple gloves, I'll tell you that. Okay, this is badass. It's just fun. Not much American badass. Oh, there's Mankind being thrown off a cell. Boneyard stuff. We had corporate ministry stuff. We had The Undertaker trying to marry Stephanie. Stephanie McMahon was forced into 2 weddings in her time in the WWE. Not 1, but 2. Didn't realise that. More Shane McMahon. They just refer to it as a character. One sec, guys. Gotta get rid of a... I'm not dealing with that. No chance. That's born fucking troll. I'm not taking that. Phrasing's terrible. There's American badass stuff. Nice little Paul Bearer tribute there. Right, let's tweet about it. Let's just mention what the original plan was for this vignette. This vignette and this announcement for the Undertaker going into the WWE Hall of Fame was originally planned for the, nope, don't scroll down. Why scrolling down? For the Royal Rumble. For some reason, it was pulled and replaced with the Sasha Banks vignette, which was then replaced with the Drew McIntyre vignette. I have many questions. First spot of Brock Lesnar. Oh god. Oh, that SummerSlam moment where they just laughed at each other. More Shane McMahon. There is a lot of Paul Bearer in this, and I really respect that. AJ Styles is getting kicked into a grave. This is taking up a lot of SmackDown. Like, a lot. I haven't seen a lot of Kane. Genuinely haven't seen a lot of Kane. Oh look, there's Kane. Here comes the Kane section. The respect from Batista just comes across in everything he does. A true legend. And a hell of an induction. Oh, look, straight from him to Roman. Wiggly says, who is this bend over you speak of? Well, every now and then Vince gets bent over. That's all I'll say. Moxie says, just give me Roman versus Bobby versus Drew versus Brock versus Sheamus inside the Elimination Chamber. How good would that be? Would be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I don't think they'd do it at this point. Sean says, does Kane induct Undertaker? I'm confident Kane would be first choice to induct The Undertaker. Just makes the most sense to me. KJ says a Shane McMahon sighting, and indeed it was. Brandon is saying, you're very welcome, Tom. Happy to support in any way I can. Thank you very much, Brandon. Appreciate that. As we continue to grow here, I have made a point of remembering the people who were here at the beginning, who stuck with me for the long haul, as it were, who were there during those watch-alongs on Twitch when no one was watching. No one was watching along. I'll remember you all, and I will make sure to shout you out as soon as I can, every time. Everyone helps. KJ says, Mark Henry Christian sighting, partnership confirmed. The journalist in you, yeah. KJ also says, a really good damn video package. Megan says the video packages are always good, which is absolutely true. Probably the most consistent thing in the company. Shawn Michaels himself has been very open about the fact that the editing team made him look much better than they ever expected. It's just good work. It's just good work. We're going straight from one vignette into another, though. We've gone from the Undertaker vignette into this one with Goldberg, suggesting that this is going to be our draw segment. Brandon says, what match shall I play first in 2K22? Play as Becky Lynch beating the shit out of Roman Reigns. Do it. Sean says, can Undertaker pick who inducts him? Yeah, Undertaker certainly can. Undertaker can do whatever the hell he wants. He's Undertaker. Simon says, Deonna Purrazzo, AAA Ring of Honor Women's Double World Champ versus a free agent tomorrow night at No Surrender. Very heavily rumoured to be Tegan Nox, Ember Moon. Interesting. There's definitely a few good options out there. Tegan Nox or Ember Moon would be a good one. Wiggly says, did I mention I met The Undertaker back in 2019? Got 2 urns signed by him. That's cool. That's cool. Wolf Gamer says, haven't seen much of Kane. WWE proceeds to show 5 minutes of Taker and Kane. Never mind. Yep. I'm going to put that down as an accurate prediction rather than speaking too soon. Moxie says, Tom, do you think the Volta will be the one to beat Bron Breakker for the title? Don't know. I think Bron Breakker is going to be champion for a while yet. Good old Gunter, not particularly involved at the moment. I like that Roman Reigns has adopted the Smash moniker. And he's not letting it go. He knows the fans like it. He knows they like it. They like the Smash imagery. They're also a big fan of when he said Shawn Cena's like missionaries. It's the same thing every night. That was good shit. KJ says Becky versus Roman. Imagine how much money male versus female matches could make in WWE, like Roman versus Becky or Banks. I still would very much like to see Drew McIntyre versus Rhea Ripley. I just think physically they'd be a very fun match. The Usos are on their way down to the ring. Sean says, who do you think will beat Carmelo Hayes for the North American title? I don't watch enough NXT to really speculate. Also, maybe someone who's not featured that much right now. Could be anyone at this point. They tend to make it up as they go along with NXT, and that's kind of what makes it work. KJ says, typical booking. This has to be Uso versus Ivar, as they did Uso versus Eric weeks ago. Let's see. Makes the most sense. Oh look, it's Ivar versus Jey Uso. I gotta say, yes, it's typical WWE booking, but also it's typical Uso booking. They always do this exact thing for the Usos. It's always the same. They're just trying desperately to keep extending it. Megan is suggesting Drew versus Shayna. KJ saying Ripley would beat Drew's ass. Well, Drew's a popular choice, isn't he? There's a lot of good choices. Sasha Banks versus Ricochet. Sasha Banks versus Ricochet would be an incredible match. Just be great fun. Ronda Rousey versus Brock, maybe. Rousey versus Riddle. Rousey versus Riddle would be a hell of a match. So we are in commercial break, heading into what looks like it may well be a draw segment. I don't think the match is going to be long enough to get into draw segment territory, but we're very close to it. Moxie suggests Roman versus Charlotte. Maybe. We'll see. Those two have very similar characters. I don't think the feud would work. You know? I know that's quite an annoyingly focused way of looking at it, but I don't feel the feud would work because of that. Megan says getting beat up by Rhea would be a very popular option, I think. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. Ah yes, Moxie. Roman does have a win over Charlotte Flair, but I believe Charlotte was tagging with Rusev on the day. Good times. Brandon says, I kind of found it hard to believe that Goldberg isn't going to end Roman's reign here. Goldberg hasn't pinned anyone since The Fiend, unless they just give Goldberg a win at Mania. I find it very unlikely that Goldberg beats Roman. It just does not make sense. Does not make sense at all for me. KJ says, imagine Bianca pressing Bobby. Probably can't do that. Yeah, probably not. That's a bit different than pressing Sasha Banks, I'll tell you that. Though Bianca Belair could be a good one for that sort of element. Bianca versus Montez. Do it. Wolfgamer says, what about Shayna versus Brock? Why not? They know what they're doing. They could make that work. They absolutely could. I'd like to see Randy Orton versus Sonya Deville. Oh no, I'd love to see Randy Orton versus Sonya Deville. Ooh. Okay, the more I say it, the more I like it. Randy Orton versus Sonya Deville. It works. Oof. Megan says, I wouldn't mind seeing Becky beat the piss out of Riddle, to be honest. Be a few potatoes thrown in there, I'll tell you that. Ah, yes, so Wiggly has clarified what we did talk about a little bit earlier. When this was filmed, Goldberg and Roman opened the show, and Ronda et al. Ended it, so it seems they flipped it in the edit. Makes sense. The women will have needed some time to get back, shower, change, and so on and so forth. Brandon says, not making sense, is WWE logic. In many ways true. In many ways true. Ugh. Sean says, did you see that Tony Khan said he is working on something massive and it'll be a big deal in wrestling? Says it every other week, mate. Every other week. He says there's going to be something massive, ratings go up. Next week, ratings go back down. So he says, well, next week there's going to be something massive. We haven't had an honest rating for AEW since it started. We haven't had one honest rating because he keeps artificially inflating the numbers. He's doing that because the retention rate isn't working. People aren't staying. Megan says, Bianca carried Otis. Lashley wouldn't be a problem. He's only £273 while Otis is £330. While that is true, Megan, Bianca carried Otis in a way that wasn't a press. In my experience, shoulders are really hard to exercise and can't lift as much as you can, for example, on your back. Even though she's got incredible shoulders, I don't see that one working. Brandon suggests Seth versus Becky. I'd like to see Becky get some revenge on Baron Corbin. Can I just say, that genuinely might be the finest moment of Baron Corbin's career, hitting the end of days on Becky Lynch. It just... oh, the reaction that got was incredible. Really ended the match on a high. KJ suggesting AJ Styles versus Sasha Banks. That could be fun. That could be fun. Oh, Moxie. Says, Tom, I saw Wrestling News Now saying on YouTube that Roman is not going to Saudi because Goldberg was going to squash Roman. So Roman said he's not going. That is what's called a lie, Moxie. It's what's called a lie. Wrestling News Now don't report the truth. They never have. Never will. They report complete garbage, made up crap. And then people watch it. That's how they've grown so big. Sean says Alexa versus Finn Balor. Oh, we got some good thinkers here. There are some really good ideas coming in here. Megan says, as regards Bianca, she would still try it. She would. She would. But still, I don't feel it would work out. And she was apparently reticent about doing that with Sasha Banks with the one arm. So I don't think she's quite as confident as she comes across on TV. Nothing wrong with that. We're all people, after all. KJ says, I think this week was an honest week for ratings. I disagree, KJ. Mostly because retention rate drops down slowly. They've gone lower. I believe the actual rate is somewhere closer to 600,000, personally, based on checking the numbers as they've gone. But we'll have to wait and see, because I think the numbers are going to keep going down. Unless, of course, we can see people keep delivering. I certainly find it interesting that after you bring in Keith Lee, Jay White, you've got CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole all wrestling, you're still dropping down to 800,000? Maybe the stars aren't drawing enough. Splash from Ivar. Really heavily slowed down that count from the referee so that we could have Jimmy get involved. And now the Viking Raiders get to stand tall, even though it was only a win by DQ. That wasn't a great finish. Megan says, here's one. Chad Gable versus Meiko Satomura. Ooh. The wrestling would be so good. Wolfgamer says I wouldn't mind getting beat up by Ray. I mean, what? I didn't say that. You definitely didn't, Wolfgamer, because that would just be being horny on MAME. Yep. KJ is referring to Wrestling News Now as a clickbait channel, which it absolutely is. Brandon saying Ronda versus Brock. Moxie saying Sheamus versus Asuka. That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad. I forgot about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre looks like he's going to be our draw segment. Makes sense. Drew's the guy. Megan says Io Shirai and Montez Ford could have a who can launch themselves the furthest contest. There's just a lot of really good options, isn't there? KJ saying maybe I should make a YouTube match card of women versus men. Do it. You've got some great suggestions here, KJ. Some absolutely fantastic suggestions. Jump in. Take them all down and just go for it. Drew McIntyre is on his way down to the ring. Moxie said Finn Balor versus Bayley. Moxie also says if AEW get Roman, they will grow. They're not going to get Roman, though. Here's the thing. If AEW get The Rock, they'll be huge. If AEW get The Rock, Steve Austin and Lewis Hamilton, Tyson Fury, David Arquette. Good old times for David Arquette. If AEW sign Tom Holland, they'll definitely get ratings. We can say whatever we want. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Sean said, I don't think even The Rock appearing in AEW would keep their ratings up. Keep them? No. They would get the boost and then it'd drop down again because that's AEW. You don't get consistent ratings. Simon is very excited for Punk versus MJF. Punk had a classic collar match in early Ring of Honor with Raven. Your prediction for it, Tom? I've got Punk to win this time. Yeah, pretty much. I think it'll be 50-50 a little bit. And then end in something more intense at the next one. KJ says, I think AW/Con fumbled CM Punk. They overused him in my opinion. They could have him as a bit more of a special attraction, but at this point, he wants to wrestle, so why not? Wiggly wants Goldberg versus Asuka. Yeah, if you want to end Asuka's career, mate. Wiggly says AW getting The Rock or Austin, don't make me laugh. I was going for the ridiculous. Come on, guys. Come on. Oh, Simon. Sasha Banks versus Rey Mysterio Intergender Dream Match. God damn it, guys. There is some good shit. I'm not a boxing fan, to be honest, Wiggly. I'll watch some of the big matches, but that's about as far as we go. It's okay. Moxie says, who would win, MJF or Roman, and who is the better heel? There is literally no way to possibly answer that question, Moxie. No way at all. Because I have nothing on circumstances. Nothing at all. It's like saying to me, who's better at drawing? Like, who's better at drawing? Who's a better sketch artist? William Shakespeare or someone who hasn't been born for the next 20 years? Literally no chance. No chance whatsoever. KJ says, Drew playing around with Corbin and Moss while staying out the title picture will work, so he won't get turned on by fans again. Yeah. Ideally, he's going to basically screw around with these two until you start seeing people on social media saying Drew deserves better. At which point, straight back into the main event scene. One of many reasons I think Baron Corbin should win at WrestleMania. Disagree there, Brandon. Brandon saying MJF is just a poor man's Miz. Disagree completely. They both respect each other. I think there is immense respect for the job that both of them are doing. And I think there has to be natural successors. I think MJF is a natural successor to someone like The Miz. Let him do it. Wiggly, mate, come back to the light. We were doing great stuff. Come back to the light. KJ with a good answer there. Depends who's booked to win. Depends which company, depends which booker, depends what point of their careers, depends if they're champions, depends who wants to win, etc. There is so many variables. So many. Just so many. I'm going to drink 2 litres of cherry coke in the next 2 hours. I know it. I know it. KH is funny because the same people saying he deserves better are the same ones who turned on him. Yeah, the fickle ones. That's very much the situation. The fickle ones will continue to be fickle, and unfortunately that's kind of who the WWE has to cater for at times. Although, to be blunt, WWE mostly focuses on casuals, so they don't really focus on the fickle fans anywhere near as much as, for example, AEW do. Wolf Gamer says, I think MJF is a better heel. The only reason he ever gets cheered is when he was in his hometown. People cheer for Roman a lot. They do cheer for Roman a lot. Roman is kind of a failed heel. That is a fake-ass cheer. They cued it. They cued the cheer. So it started right when they were showing the match. Wiggly suggesting AJ Styles versus AJ Lee. Billy says 2 liters of cherry coke, wouldn't that sit in your stomach all night? Yep, probably. I probably shouldn't do it. It's a bad idea. It'll keep me awake for the next 4 hours, I tell you that. Drew McIntyre is just getting cheap pop after cheap pop. Okay, that's a real fake laugh. It's just cheap pops. KJ says they both get cheered, to be honest, but MJF's GP by cursing and saying things that have nothing to do with wrestling, saying inappropriate jokes, you know how it is. Great talker regardless. I agree. MJF for me does a fantastic job, and I think working with Punk has been very good for him. It's worth pointing out, MJF is not the finished article. Not even close. He's gonna get better. We're still very early in his career. Wolf Gamer says Roman also seems like the cool heel, whereas MJF seems like the guy you want to knock his teeth out. MJF is probably one of the few people who can actually maintain a proper heel position at the moment. One of very few people who can do that. Sean says, do we think Drew will ever go heel again? Yeah. At some point in his life, he'll probably go heel. He's got a long career ahead of him. There'll be changes. He's not John Cena. Oh, he went to show a clip of him being beaten up. Why? He wasn't WWE champion last year. Bobby Lashley was WWE champion last year. Okay, he's now full on cutting a promo on Madcap Moss. I've got to say, yes, SmackDown is not as good as it used to be. That's a fact. This one's been okay so far. But they are actually pushing people. Ridge Holland has been regularly featured. Ricochet has been regularly featured. Moss has been regularly featured and eliminated Styles at the Rumble. Naomi's been regularly featured. Boogs is actually really heavily featured. They're not doing a bad job bringing people up. Drew McIntyre wants to do a hashtag. I'll read everything Drew McIntyre says. I'll read everything. Well, let's share. Can I just say, I'm actually getting into Baron Corbin's fashion. I'm going to save this to mention on NTIA. I like the shirt. AJ says, oh yeah, don't get it twisted. Because he abused Punk on the mic every time they went at it. Oh, it was good. Wheeler says, did anyone see Martin Cove on AW the other day? Yeah, I did see that. I don't know what he did, but I saw it. Why did Shinsuke Nakamura get the WWE Universal title after being pushed for it? He was pushed for the WWE title, as far as I can recall, and there was no plan to give it to him. But he was pushed for it and elevated, as it were. The main reason he's not being getting top championships is because WWE don't see him as a future star. Which is why at the moment they're focusing on Boogs. AJ says, good work by Drew. Just standard promos, sometimes it's all you need. Sometimes you don't need to do anything particularly fancy. Oh god. Moss is doing that thing he does. The laugh is so obnoxious. Drew McIntyre putting Madcap over. That's the focus right now. McIntyre and Corbin, it's locked in. That's your Mania match. Sean, there won't be a March pay-per-view, well, premium live event. There won't be one. Elimination Chamber is the last stop before WrestleMania. So McIntyre isn't wrestling too much right now. He's being given time to heal. His neck is still not perfect. Likely his match against Madcap Moss will not be very long. I'll give it about 5 minutes and call it there. They're keeping him rested up for Corbin. It looks like it is now time for the Intercontinental Championship match. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. I would give this match a full 20 minutes and then probably go straight into Roman versus Goldberg. If they do that, this will be a good show. Again, they're overplaying that laugh. KJ says Vince hasn't pushed a guy that struggles with English in a long time. That's my reason behind it. I don't know why he didn't get the title, but didn't mind AJ keeping it. Oh god, that was terribly scripted, Shinsuke. That scripting was awful. Oh. Megan says Drew is good. Corbin should be a hobo again, and Moss needs to just be quiet. Hobo Corbin was magnificent. We miss it. KJ says, fun fact, Drew and Banks haven't lost any TV matches since the draft, other than the Rumble. That's pretty good. We've seen some good matches for both of them as well. Drew did his open challenge for a while. I remember Sasha Banks versus Shayna Baszler opening a SmackDown, and that was really quite good. So our IC Championship match is next. I'm going to take a quick break, pop to the bathroom, get myself a snack, and I'll be back just before the commercial break ends. Don't go anywhere, I'll just be a couple of minutes and I'll see you very shortly. Hello again. Ooh. Big E's driving the pace car. Have they suddenly remembered that he exists? How rare. Shinsuke Nakamura is in the ring. Rocking out a little bit. See, with these vignettes and things, they usually do this on recorded shows so that the audience aren't sat there for 4 hours. Once you take out the commercial breaks and things, what you're actually looking at is about 3 hours and 10 minutes. It's not bad. Not bad. Ooh, pardon me, I'm a bit gassy. I'm going to be honest with you guys. The amount of Sherry Coke I've just had, not doing me in great stead. So I've decided to settle my stomach. And just, you know, relax with something that is definitely going to sit really well. Definitely going to settle my stomach. One thing you can guarantee is that Tom Colohue looks after his body. You can tell when the commentary is recorded over something. Moxley suggesting Shinsuke versus Asuka. That would be a fun match. That absolutely would be. As regards Drew and Banks, KJ is pointing out they both lost at Survivor Series. Oof. Sean says WWE backed themselves into a corner with the Women's Chamber. This is Alexa's first match back since Extreme Rules. She shouldn't lose her first match back, but I still believe Bianca is winning. It depends what they do with her. If she loses and then they don't really follow up on it, it's a problem. If she loses then goes back to therapy, there are more vignettes planned, it's not really that big a surprise. They don't even need to actually mention it in the therapy, and they probably won't. We have an Intercontinental Championship match. The WWE themselves have already told us what happened. But let's see how it goes, because this could be a lot of fun. These two have a natural chemistry. All they need is a bit of time. Sami Zayn's gear is full on Sami Zayn forever. I'm starting to believe we're actually getting that Johnny Knoxville match. I do like the black and white symbology though. Good guy wearing white. Bad guy wearing black. Gonna mention that. Gonna tweet about it. Good guy wears white. Bad guy wears black. Clever WWE. Okay, that's a real Nakamura chant, that's nice. Bailey says if WWE doesn't lose any ratings week over week, would they consider more taped shows to save costs? Not for Fox. Fox would not allow them to get away with that. They would consider it because they've done it historically in the past quite a lot, but not for Fox. Brandon says, love how WWE themselves already spoiled the result. And KJ says it was going to get spoiled anyways. It absolutely was, but they didn't necessarily need to do it. I like that we're not spoiling it. We're talking about the fact that it was spoiled, but we're not spoiling it. If we can keep that up, that'd be great. Sean is saying, what do we think of EC3 and Adam Scherr starting their own wrestling promotion? Well, I'm going to be blunt. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be very hard work. And they ain't exactly walking into a nice, clear path. It's risky. It's risky. The audio, they're just making sure that the audio stays at a constant. They did a slowdown of a kick and really showed Sammy catching the foot perfectly. Gotta be careful of that. You're showing your tricks, you know? The WWE camera style is just infuriating at times. Well, that knee could have looked really good if we'd actually seen it and not been, you know, okay, so he's running forward, he's running zooming. It's annoying as fuck. KJ says, I'm excited. Was telling one of my friends how all the guys that were released should have teamed up and made their own company. But how big is it going to be? Will it be as big as AEW? Will it be like Impact? Will it be weekly? I have too many questions. As regards EC3 and Adam Scherr, they're going to be smaller than Impact. They don't have a choice in this. They're going to be smaller than Impact. That's just it. We spoke a little bit earlier about AEW. Wrestlers don't draw individually. They don't. Certain ones can boost, certainly, but it's always a temporary boost. If Sasha Banks moves to AEW, she'd boost the numbers. Then they'd go back down under the million again. We know this. We saw CM Punk go there. That's how it happens. So I think they will struggle unless they get big names. And I suspect that the former Braun Strowman would be the biggest name they can attract for a while. All the other big names are already locked down to contracts, at least for now. I think there's a good chance they could get Wyndham Rotunda. I think there is a very good chance that they'll be creating an environment perfect for him. But is that an environment that's perfect for anyone else? That was the problem that The Fiend always had. There was no ideal opponents beyond a few. There wasn't anything beyond that small collection of people who already worked in that area, and that's why Finn Balor was the foil to start with, as it were. But Goldberg wasn't a good opponent for The Fiend. He wasn't. Seth Rollins wasn't a great opponent for The Fiend. The chemistry wasn't there because it was just this absolute monster versus this normal guy. It didn't quite work. I don't know what they're going to create, but for me, they'll be coming in underneath Impact and probably taking some viewership away from Impact. Yeah, I stand by it. EC3 has a vision for what he wants to present, what he wants to create, and I give him all the credit in the world for creating that. But it's not going to be taking on the big dogs. It's just not. You can't do everything, you know? You do what you can, and then you leave it there. KJ says, I guess Cross will be there as he's in that faction with Braun at EC3. Cross sort of fits what they're going for as well, you know? The world that they're creating does sort of suit Karrion Kross, at least once he's taken off the mask. Possibilities. Exciting concepts. Moxie says they should have done the Demon versus the Fiend. The reason they didn't do that is because they wanted both to stay undefeated as long as possible. Also, Finn Balor wanted to go back to NXT. Darnell says, yeah, congrats to EC3, I guess. I get what you're saying. It's not the most exciting concept. It just isn't. He's going into a very, very difficult world, as it were. He's trying to create something unique. That's good and all, but I don't know. I'd expect maybe they'll be trying to make overtures to people like Matt Hardy. He's going to be in AEW for a while. Jeff's going to be there in a couple of weeks. It's difficult. KJ says, it was rumoured to happen, maybe reported, I don't know. I think Balor was back in NXT and fans were gone. Yeah, it was never reported that there would be the Demon King versus the Fiend. Fans really got into the idea. Didn't work. And Moxie says they were going to have the Fiend lose to Roman in like 6 months. Yep. Fiend versus Roman was always a plan. Always a plan. And to be fair, the Fiend got beat the hell out of by Roman and then pinned. Well, I think Braun Strowman was actually pinned. But either way, the Fiend wasn't exactly stopping it. I remember reporting way back when Fiend versus Roman is endgame stuff. And it was. They took their time with it. When a show is pre-recorded, there is no excuses for a slow or sloppy match. Now, we haven't seen a slow or sloppy match. But surely you take the option to take out some of the punches and stuff and just speed up the pace a little bit. Avoid rest holds and so on and so forth. Surely you'd up the pace. Maybe they have. Who can tell? Either way, I was expecting this to be great. Oh, lovely from Nakamura. What's your source on that one, Moxie? Saying Fiend versus Roman at WrestleMania 36 was always the plan. What's your source on that? Wasn't that the one where it was Goldberg Roman? I could be wrong. This is a very WWE match. There's some good moments, but there's also a lot of posturing. A lot of playing up to the crowd. Sean says Goldberg faced Braun Strowman at WrestleMania 36. Yes, but the plan was Goldberg versus Roman. Roman dropped out because of the potential for COVID. And instead Braun Strowman was picked. KJ, I don't think Goldberg was the right choice to beat The Fiend. I don't. I would have rather seen The Fiend versus Roman. I didn't like the Firefly Funhouse match. I didn't get it. There were some funny moments, but it wasn't a match. Yes, Brandon, the plan was Goldberg versus Roman. The main event was always going to be Drew and Brock. That was always going to be the main event. That was a lovely little Michinoku driver. It's heating up now. KJ says Roman beating Goldberg would have been better than Roman beating The Fiend. Yep. It's one of the reasons the change was made. So that they could get their spear versus spear, and so that they could get the Firefly Funhouse match. Sean says, was Drew versus Big Show planned? Yes. Now, was it planned ahead of time? Not really. It was one of those things they did in the last couple of days. They were like, hey, we've got Big Show. We could just throw him in there. And then they did. It was weird, that. It was just very strange. It's been a while since we've seen Sami Zayn try and dive through the ropes the way that he just did. Nice of Shinsuke to be ready for it. It's building up very nicely now. And we have another commercial break. Moxie says, couldn't they have done Roman versus Goldberg at Saudi, winner faces The Fiend? No, because at Saudi, they were doing Goldberg versus The Fiend. Brandon says Drew versus Big Show was puzzling. It was. Completely no reason for it. KJ says, no, Tom, I agree. I mean, as far as Roman beating Goldberg and not Roman due to the possibility of Roman being booed. Need a little bit of clarification there, KJ. I think one of them was supposed to be Fiend. Yeah, they went with what they went with. I'd have rather seen The Fiend beat Goldberg and then go up against Roman at WrestleMania. But I would also have rather seen The Fiend retain. I'd rather seen The Fiend beat Randy Orton. There's a lot of things I would have rather seen. A whole lot of things. Fortunately, we don't always get what we want. I mean, that's basically the catchphrase of WWE at this point in time. WWE, you don't always get what you want. You can see it, can't you? You can definitely see it. Sean says, I knew Randy was winning at WrestleMania when he lost at Fastlane. Did you? Because they only decided to have Randy win at WrestleMania about an hour before the show. So the plan at Fastlane was to have Randy lose at WrestleMania. Moxie says, Tom, who do you think would have won, Roman or The Fiend? Again, that's not a question that I can answer. No idea. I'm confident Roman would have beaten Goldberg, but that's not what we got. I've got no idea, unfortunately, as to what the plan was if they had Roman versus The Fiend. I do like that these shows are just a bit more chill. The spoiler warning shows are really quite intense. And I enjoy the pace of them, I really do. But it's nice every now and then to do a show like this and just take a nice deep breath. Just take a nice deep breath and relax. It's nice sometimes just to take that moment and just take a deep breath. Brandon says, Wyatt should have retained against Orton at Mania after winning it at the Chamber. Orton literally dropped it straight away to Mahal. That I definitely agree with. I had a whole plan. I did a whole fantasy book for that, which would have resulted in Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose at the following year's WrestleMania. My plan essentially was to have a reunited Wyatt family protecting Bray Wyatt. Now at the time, they were doing separate Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views, except for the Big Four. So essentially Braun Strowman would have been completely independent until it looked like Bray Wyatt was going to lose the championship at SummerSlam, at which point Braun Strowman got involved. What I wanted at WrestleMania was for Randy Orton to come down challenging for the WWE Championship, for Luke Harper to appear on the apron, for Eric Rowan to appear on the apron, for Braun Strowman to appear on the apron, and for Bray Wyatt to look at Randy and say, "You never were one of us. You never were." They all beat the shit out of him. Sister Abigail, job done. Bray Wyatt holds on to that championship for the next year. Meanwhile, he's got such a grip at the top. Anytime someone comes close, you got Braun Strowman involved, you got Luke Harper involved, you got Eric Rowan. They are finding ways. At the Big Four, you tease that there is a chance. There is a chance. And then you have Braun Strowman involved. The reason Dean Ambrose would be the one to take it, when he was still Dean Ambrose, and hopefully becoming a bit more John Moxley as it goes, is because Moxley doesn't care about rescuing your show. I'd have gone a bit NWO versus Four Horsemen. You know, he's got the championship. Moxley, or Ambrose as he was at the time, doesn't care about what everyone's saying about, can't you represent the brand? Can't you be here and put up the fight? Can't you be the one representing us and going out there? And he's just not one that cares. He's had his heart broken too many times. And then you build based on that to a Royal Rumble win for Dean Ambrose. That was my fantasy booking. I was really excited when I put that together before that year's WrestleMania. And then what we had was maggots and an RKO. It was shit. Sean says, I pre-ordered the deluxe edition. I think they pulled a fast one with these pre-orders, to be honest with you. The amount of stuff that they promised us and then vanished in the last few days convinced me not to bother. KJ says, as regards who would win the match, I'll answer it. Whoever they book to win. True. Simon is saying they've got Sasha trending on Twitter very heavily, showing our appreciation for her, showing how much we miss her. Let's have a look. Now, have you got trending or have you got trends for you? Because let's have a look at trends where I am, and I get a lot of wrestling trends. Let's have a look. Nope, no Sasha Banks. No Sasha Banks, so she ain't trending that strong. Trending. Nope. Going through all the trends. Top 30, she's not there. Number 1 is Wordle245. That's how bad this is. If I go to my For You, Nakamura, Zayn, Bliss is heavy. Ricochet's been mentioned. No sign of Sasha. She ain't trending that strong. Sean says, I wanted Dean to win a Rumble. He should have won the one where Triple H won. Before WrestleMania 32. If Ambrose had eliminated Triple H and we'd have gone into WrestleMania with Ambrose versus Reigns, it would have been better for everyone. I think everyone would have been better off with that. Bailey says, I'm seeing Alexa Bliss trending. Me too. Let's find out why. Let's have a look. I'm also seeing Britt Baker trending, which is nice. Oh, it's because of the Wrestling Observer newsletter awards. And people essentially defending her. So appreciation posts, Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer. It's Dave Meltzer. It's because of Dave Meltzer. Standard. The match has been picking up pace nicely. They're really playing up to this supposed injury from Nakamura. Looks like they're protecting him, essentially. Sami Zayn's a clever man. What? That was a bad finish. He literally just kicked his leg out from under and pinned him. I mean, it sells the injury, sure, but... And there's some logic to it. Okay, I don't hate it. I don't hate it completely, I should say. So they protected him by making it all about this supposed injury. Sami Zayn working the knee. But there was no hell of a kick. Out of light. They're showing a replay of the Blue Thunder Bomb. Take the knee out, then Blue Thunder Bomb him. Do something. Give us something impactful. But he literally won just by kicking his leg out. There is logic that he wouldn't be able to kick out from that because of the knee injury, but still. That's not exactly how we're trained to see matches finish. Hey, Sami Zayn, that's clean. No cheating involved. Sami Zayn earned it. Oh, Michael Cole's gained some distance. So this was recorded after the fact. We're going into another vignette for Black History Month. So logically, from here it's just Roman and Goldberg, which is not a bad show. Brandon says, what's next for Shinsuke? I fear he's just going to be forgotten about, even more now he doesn't have a title. I think that's kind of the plan. I think Nakamura is going to fade a little bit, and will probably be going for the tag team championships. There's certainly a possibility that would be very exciting to me, Usos versus Nakamura and Boogs at WrestleMania, with Nakamura and Boogs winning the championships. I think that would be fun. I would enjoy it, and I think they'd be very good in that element. Nakamura didn't really do much with the Intercontinental Championship. I think they regret giving him the belt, to be honest. KJ says, I watched Mania 32 the other night, and I can see why WWE is trying to pull out Austin. They had Rock, Shane, Brock, Taker, Triple H all in action, then Cena, HBK, Foley and Austin all got physical after showing up. One thing I do like about that, particularly Mania 32, we had Austin, HBK and Mick Foley coming down to beat up the League of Nations. The only one who let anyone actually hit him was Austin. Austin let Rusev get some kicks in. Briefly just put the guy over. And that was good. That was good. So we just had a zoom in on Roman. And now we've immediately got a vignette about Becky versus Lita. Not sure I agree with you there, Moxie, about WrestleMania 31 being the best Mania ever. Not sure I agree. A lot of people like 17 for a reason. Brandon is not a fan of the idea to bring Austin back for a match. Why do you think that, Brandon? I like to get different opinions. I don't think they need Austin. I think they should probably just develop the people they've got. But if he's just going to lose and put over Owens, I'd take that. If he's going to win and start winning a load more matches, not so much. KJ says Goldberg and Roman should get good pops. Weren't on the show yet other than backstage interviews. Which is good. It's a good way to do it. You got to protect your talent a little bit. Sometimes you have to protect your stars. And that at least will get some interest. Moxley says they're teasing Roman versus Becky at Mania. Oh yeah. We all know. Sean says, did everyone see that Alexa got 3 new Funko Pops? I didn't. But it's Alexa Bliss. She's starting to transcend the medium. Sorry. Let me clarify. She's continuing to transcend the medium. She's a big deal. They know it. Bailey says they don't need a match. Have Owens talk down the crowd. Out comes Austin. 2 stunners, beer. Everyone's happy. Wouldn't do much good for Kevin Owens though, would it? And Austin does seem to be on a bit of a mission to put over Kevin Owens. He gave him the stunner for a reason. Like literally, he gave him the stunner. There is of course the history of Kevin Owens approaching Austin in an airport and just saying, I'm a wrestler, what do you think I can do to really grab the crowd? Austin said to Kevin Owens, never shut up. Just never shut up. Which is of course exactly what Kevin Owens does. He never shuts up. And I hate it. And it's great. You know, the Iconics were much the same mould. You hate them because they never shut up, and it's great. It's just fantastic. More of that. More of that. We are heading into our last 20 minutes. Logically from here it is only Roman and Goldberg. Only thing that really makes sense. KJ says, as regards what Bailey is suggesting, that can still happen with an added 1, 2, 3 either way. True. Brandon says he's been retired for a reason, injuries. Keep it that way. I think it's selfish if they're trying to bring him back knowing what could happen. It really depends. They've reached out to Steve Austin to basically say, Steve, do you want to come back? Are you fit and ready? If he is, then I get it. Look at what happened with Edge, Daniel Bryan. People are coming back. If there's any risk, for example, like there is with Paige, don't take it. I know a lot of people are clambering to see Paige back. It's not worth the risk. It's not. They shouldn't do it. And Sean says, I like the stunner that Becky gave to Austin on his show on USA. The girl knows how to drink a beer. Knows how to drink a beer, spit beer, and then stun someone. She did the whole shebang. Hello, Aaliyah. Aaliyah and Ricochet backstage. Aaliyah, an hour after the end of the match, just basically saying, yeah, you're so good. This is horribly scripted. Okay. So, what we've established there is that Aaliyah is hot for Ricochet. Yeah, I'd say this is teasing Sami Zayn versus Ricochet for the IC belt. Sami Zayn also using the mantra of never shut up. Matt, how you doing, man? Been a little while. Says, hey Tom, I've been busy lately with Winter Olympics, but glad to be here. Glad to have you here, mate. I hope you're well. Hope you're well. Okay, now they're teasing the Elimination Chamber match. We're just talking Raw at this point. KG says, good thing about this last segment is I heard nothing about it. Yeah, that won't have happened out front, so nobody knows. Robs, how you doing, man? Said, did you get to see King Switch earlier? I did not. I had a nap because SmackDown here finishes at 3 a.m, so I had a nap instead. But I'll be sure to catch up on that one. Megan is fine with Sami versus Ricochet. Can't blame you. I cannot blame you. Sean is asking Sami versus Ricochet mainly for the belt or a rematch with Shinsuke. I think, given that it's a knee injury, Shinsuke may be written out for a while now. KJ is saying Aaliyah and Ricochet in a talking segment together is not good. And it's not. They're not the most comfortable speakers. Moxie believes the men's chamber will be match of the year. We'll see on that. Sean is going to see Uncharted tomorrow. I think me too. That's going to be our next date night. We're both very interested. We like Tom Holland. First film we went to see was No Way Home. It's good stuff. And I think Uncharted is the logical next step. We both played the Uncharted games. So. Matt says, doing generally good. Been dealing with a lot of snow lately. Yeah, it's hit a lot of people hard this winter. Bailey says, in the next 3 years, which of the following would possibly return to WWE for one more run? Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, or Jon Moxley? Most likely is Chris Jericho. Second most likely is Bryan Danielson. Job done. And Moxie says, Tom, I think that Bobby will spear Brock through the pod. Yeah, probably. There's definitely going to be a pod going through. That's just how it works. Austin Theory is definitely getting speared through a pod, tell you that. We're definitely going to start, I feel, with AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. The wrestling stuff. And then they'll introduce the monsters a bit later. It's a good spot for Austin Theory to be in. But we'll see what actually comes of it. Good spot for Matt Riddle as well, to be fair. Shows how well they've developed him over the last year. Sean says, if Brock wins the belt back, then what was the point of him losing at the Rumble? Oh, there was no point of him losing at the Rumble. He literally won the Rumble. There was no point. Megan says, if Austin Theory doesn't get launched, I'm not going to be happy. He's the best guy to do that spot. He is. He absolutely is. Character-wise, experience-wise, physicality. It's good stuff. Rob says, cool, sorry I'm late. All off on my timing tonight. Should enjoy. He definitely delivered with his presence. No surprise to those that know. Kid Kid's ride his ticket anywhere. Total package. The total package indeed. He really is. He's got it all. Like, I know MJF is considered the top heel, but Jay White's there now. Jay White's there now. Brandon says, imagine if Brock or Bobby is last in the chamber. I think one of them will be. I think Austin Theory might be last, but be taken out pretty quickly. But they're bringing the monsters a bit late, I reckon. Moxie says AJ and Seth start, then Riddle comes in, then Bobby, then Austin, then Brock. Yeah, I could see that. I play it slightly differently. I'd have, I'd definitely start with AJ, Seth, and Riddle. Then I'd have Brock. Then I'd have Bobby. Then I'd have Austin Theory. And the entire time between Bobby coming in and Austin Theory coming in, I would just have Bobby battering everyone pillar to post and working on Brock. Austin Theory's pod opens, Brock just spears him straight through the pod. Ignores him. That's basically it for Austin Theory for a while. People start getting eliminated. It ends with Bobby Brock. I'd still have Bobby winning, personally. Roman Reigns making his entrance. Paul Heyman in tow. We have one commercial break left, probably after Roman's entrance. Megan says, having Austin be the last one to come in after Brock and Bobby have beaten everyone else is a good shout. It would just be funny. They would do that thing where they compete to see who can beat the guy up the most. I just enjoy it. I just really enjoy it. Sean says, what do we think the order of the Women's Chamber will be? That's a harder one to predict. I think Ripley and Bianca Belair will likely open. They'll be the workhorses. For me, I think Alexa Bliss will come in last and will not be there for long. We are indeed having a commercial break during Roman Reigns' entrance. And then we have 10 minutes of Roman Reigns looking at Goldberg. I wonder how much they've edited this one. Rob says, absolutely agreed, MJF is a great character, but doesn't rate my top 12 to watch in AW, to be honest, from an all-around standpoint, although I will give him credit for his part in the Punk match. I enjoy MJF's work. It's not enough to make me tune in regularly. Not sure exactly what you're saying there, Moxie. You've listed some names. I think you're saying 5 people are going to win. That's not going to happen. Oh, thank you, Sean. I haven't watched Raw. Bianca won the Gauntlet on Raw to enter last in the chamber. Right. I still think we'll open with Rhea, but with that in mind, we'll probably open with Rhea and Nikki. Which isn't great, but it is what it is. Megan says, I think it's going to be AJ out first. Then Edge can use that to take the piss out of him, since he'll be equal on chamber appearances after tomorrow, to kickstart their Mania feud. That could be fun. I mean, we've got to have some reason that they start feuding. Sorry, there's a screw loose in my chair, and I'm worried the arm's going to fall off. I just thought I'd screw it back in a little bit. They've got to do something to actually give them a feud at Mania. They can't just say, okay, you two are feuding now. Well, to be fair, if they announced the match and then started the feud, that's very WWE recently. I wouldn't hate it, is what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't necessarily love it, but I wouldn't hate it. If you are currently watching on YouTube, please do remember that you can click that like button. It will help us with our growth. We've just hit double figures, so a big thank you to everyone who's already hit like. In the meantime, we've actually gained a couple of extra subscribers today, which is wonderful. We are getting very close to 950, which leaves us with just 5% left to reach that 1,000 subscribers. We're getting very, very close at this point in time. As I said, it's not really my intention here to sit and advertise and try and grow. This is a chilled, laid-back stream, so I'm not particularly fussed. But it is nice every now and then to just focus on the fact that we're doing very, very well. On Wednesday, we had a new record broken. We had a peak viewership on YouTube of 42 viewers and a peak viewership of both combined of 58. 58. Pretty good. Just over a year ago, we did our first Royal Rumble watch along, and we had at most 3 viewers. We peaked at 3 viewers. Nowadays, we're peaking at 58. So a huge thank you to everyone who drops into these shows, says hi, chats along, keeps me company, and is regular in the other shows as well. We are extremely close to monetization, extremely close, and I'm very excited to get started on that because it will guarantee more viewership for certain. It will allow me to start catching up on the competition a little bit faster. We're already catching up, but there's some people I want to overtake. There's some people I have an eye on to overtake. I'm tracking the numbers. There's a few people I can reel in. As soon as we hit that monetization, we're already growing faster than them. Once we monetize, YouTube starts advertising us a hell of a lot more. Hell of a lot more. Okay, we are once again talking about the Elimination Chamber match, and they're killing time at this point. They are killing time. It's running down the chamber. But yes, what I did want to say is just a big thank you. Just a big thank you to everyone who has supported, who has helped our growth. Since going back to dual streams, we have full on exploded. And that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So thank you kindly for all the help, all the support, all the company. You've been with me through some dark, dark times. And now you're with me through some really good ones too. Thank you, everybody. Ooh. Sorry, guys. Moxie says, I said Riddle is out first, then Austin, then AJ, then Brock, then Bobby, and Seth wins. Gotcha. Thank you, Moxie. Sean says, my prediction. Rhea and Alexa start, then Nikki, then Doudrop, then Liv, then Bianca. I don't think Alexa will come in that early, but I don't see Alexa lasting very long in the match. Rob says Switch is instant top 4 and the ideal AW champion if they ever got to a point he signed there full time. Talent is undeniable. Even Vince would see the dollars in him. Rare breed. Sorry, back to SmackDown. You don't need to worry about keep staying on topic here, Robs. We are a show that isn't particularly focused when it comes to the watch parties. We're quite chill about the whole thing. We really are. But Vince McMahon does want Jay White. There's been plenty of different attempts to get Jay White to sign in WWE. He's not interested. Big cheer for Roman. They acknowledge him. Brandon says, what time is the chamber for us, Tom? I have no idea, Brandon. Not planning on watching it, so I haven't bothered to check. And Moxie says, Roman's getting speared here. Is he? We'll see how that goes. We'll see if that happens. Roman is soaking it in. He's loving it. He's not exactly playing heel here. He's allowing a Roman Reigns chant. Well, a Roman chant, I should say. He's drinking it in like The Rock used to. Just... And I kind of like that. Megan says the pre-show is 4 PM our time, the main card starts at 5 PM our time. Cool. As I said, I won't be watching it. No intention at all of watching. Paul Heyman has about 5 minutes to wax lyrical. I doubt Goldberg's going to be particularly involved here. Getting a bit obsessive. Sean says, do you think Damien loses the belt at WrestleMania? If so, to who? I don't know. They've not really set up an ideal opponent for Damien Priest yet. There's no one really lined up. Maybe that'll be Cody's match. Nothing's really set. Maybe it'll end up being Damien Priest versus Austin Theory. Not an impossibility. Megan says, at least you know when to avoid wrestling Twitter now. Think of it that way. The thing is, I don't care about the spoilers because I'm never going to watch it. I'm never going to watch it. Honestly, that'll be when I'm off to watch Uncharted. Sean says, has Cody officially signed yet? Last I heard, no. Last information I had was yesterday. Contract offer has been made. They are currently discussing the push and the match. So, nothing formally agreed as of yet. I don't know what's being chanted now. I don't watch enough American football. Did watch quite a bit of the Super Bowl though. That was quite fun. Moxie says, Tom, did you see on Twitter Paul tried to fight a fan? I did not, but it's Paul Heyman, so he probably won. I've had Paul Heyman coming at me on Twitter. I kind of love it. Kind of love it. Paul Heyman knows how to play his character very well. I'm sorry, but Roman Reigns just fucked the shit out of the camera. I need a minute. I can't, oh, he's doing it again. He's doing it again. It's not fair. It is not fair. Okay, with about 5 minutes left, Goldberg is finally coming down. And you've got to give him 2 minutes to actually get to the ring as well. He's not going to have a lot to say, but he never does. I'm going to go ahead and no comment on that one, Bailey. Oh god, they're doing the full Goldberg entrance. Add another 2 minutes there. Is his head bleeding yet? Not yet. Not yet. Interesting looking security guards. Slowly heading down to Gorilla. 1 minute so far. We have pyro. Can't see shit. Are you going to do some kicks? It just keeps going. Megan says, which security guard is a future champion? I'm going to go with the one on the left with the beard. It looked like he was going to make it. KJ says, Goldberg and Roman are over. Also, it was smart by keeping them off the show last week. Yes, it was. It absolutely was. Keeps the crowd invested. Of course, it's also telling that this happened right after a pretty good Charlotte versus Naomi match when the crowd was still hot. It's clever. Rescheduling it was very clever. 2 minutes. Robs has asked, oh, that reminds me, Tom. Did you see Rhea in her suit the other day? And there's a number of things now that I have to say. Firstly, you all know me in suits. I like them. I like them. I'm excited for the Hall of Fame because I'll wear a suit. Hopefully some of you guys will join me in wearing suits. and we'll just have a great time in suits. However, I've also seen Sonya Deville wear a suit, and I will never look that good. I've seen Shayna Baszler wear a suit. I will never look that good. Now I've seen Rhea Ripley wear a suit. I'll never look that good. There's looking good, and then there's looking good. I can look good. I can't look good. Oh yes, I saw Rhea Ripley in her suit. Okay, Goldberg had a microphone and then he just sort of threw it away. Brandon said it's confusing how Goldberg gets so much stick online, yet it shows he always gets one of the biggest pops for his entrance. Yeah, there is a clear disparity between the fans in the crowd and the fans on social media. A clear disparity. Goldberg reminded us what time it is for Elimination Chamber. All these wonderful people, says Goldberg, trying to remind us that he's a good guy. Moxie says Rhea was going to sign the contract to face Drew, so she should. Okay, that was weird. KJ says, did anyone see Goldberg dancing with the Saudi guys? Not yet. Is that seriously it? Is that seriously it? Smackdown was okay. That was a real lackluster finish. Just real lackluster. I wanted something. I wanted to end with at least a bit of excitement. I'm not happy with that. That was not exciting at all. So SmackDown was okay. Yeah, Megan, you've got that right. For a show they had a week to edit and put together, meh. I think they were right to make the changes that they did. Swapping over the women's segment at the beginning of the show was clever. Editing it better. It was okay. It was a bit more compact. The wrestling content was good. Didn't see a women's match, did we? We didn't. No. We saw the Intercontinental Championship match. We saw a match to tease the Tag Team Championship match. We saw Seamus versus Ricochet. Outside of the contract signing, we didn't see any other women apart from Aaliyah backstage. Not great on that front. Not great on that front. But ultimately, yeah, that's not a go-home show. That's not excited me for a show that to be fair, I'm not seeing anyway, so maybe that's affecting it. But for me, that spent more time telling us about The Undertaker and about Raw than anything else. There was too many vignettes, not enough action, no women's matches. I'm downgrading it from okay to half-arsed, I think. Sean says, no Shotzi, not good for her. Not good for her at all. Although, to be fair, we did talk about this earlier. Sean, Shotzi is currently on compassionate leave. So while Creative don't have anything for her, they wouldn't have used her this week anyway. She's not available. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there. It is 3 a.m. here in the UK. And I want to say a big thanks to everyone for joining me. We will not be live for Elimination Chamber, because no. We will be live again Sunday night for our regular 10 p.m. news show. And I look forward to seeing you all there. In the meantime, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic. I'll see you all very soon.